All right, thank you very much for staying with us here on Daybreak on Trust Television. It's been a very, very interesting conversation so far. Well, I forgot to say thank you to all our callers before we went on the break. So, to all our callers on the show this morning, thank you very much for calling in and sharing your thoughts on the topic of discussions we had this morning. It was indeed an eye opener where we got to hear the opinions of different people and we got to feel the heart of Nigerians and know that truly, indeed, Nigerians are pained and truly, indeed, Nigerians still want the best for the country and we have not given up. The calls, even if we had some people who expressed disappointment, it showed that people have not given up and they still want the best for Nigerians. And we hope that our leaders would hear our cry. We also hope that as Nigerians, we'll equip ourselves and, come the next election, we'll get to do the right thing against all odds. Now, moving straight into our newspaper review this morning, where we'll be looking at stories that have made it to the front pages of the newspapers this morning. Kicking off with the Daily Trust newspaper, we have on Daily Trust boldly right there in front, Army discharges female soldier who accused officer of sexual advances. Cites mental challenges, exonerates colonel of allegation. Women Affairs Ministry remains silent. Now that is the part that got me in all of that. The fact that the Women Affairs Ministry remains silent. Well, this is one story that, well, I hope you get the paper and you look into the details of the story in the paper there. It's on page 4. Now moving on to Zamfara on the top left, Lawal Matawale's feud gets messier. That's on page 10. Against expectations, CBN raises interest rates to 27.25%. And Tinubu seeks UN permanent seat debt forgiveness for Nigeria and others. Now below, Nigeria's grappling with hardship, says Akpabio. That's on page 4. Boa donates 2 billion, Binani 50 million to Borno flood victims. Akure goes to sleep as monarch begins leave, and EFCC probes own staff over 15 million bribery allegation. Well, this was trending on social media. I saw the story yesterday. Well, these are the stories we have on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. So if you're looking for this and more, you'll find them on the front page of the paper. Now let's quickly go to Guardian newspaper. Growing jobless, self-employed Nigerians deem tax potential. Now the infograph there shows that overview of the Nigerian labor market. Working age population, labor force unemployed has 55.3%, employed 84%, part-time, employed full-time 7.32%. This is a very detailed infograph we have there. Still on the front page of the Guardian, Tinubu advocates multilateralism, permanent UNSC seat debt forgiveness. Judges recuses self from Nnamdi Kanu's treason trial. NPR, concerns over job cuts, food hike, as CBN says nation not yet out of the woods. 5,225 slain officers benefits cost police 15.6 billion naira in a year. Senate resumes, urges action on economic security challenges. On the bottom there, Dangote advocates total subsidy removal. Okukwe disagrees. Police invite leader of October 1st End Bad Governance Plan protest. And PDP warns against alleged ploy to rig Ondo Guba poll. Well, I said election in Nigeria is power of who rigs the best, because it seems to be playing across all the parties. Well, these are the stories we have on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. So if you're interested in any of these stories, well, you find them on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. Now moving over to Punch, it says federal government may spend 232 billion naira monthly on imported petrol, says Dangote Petrol. They've started again. Marketers others back Dangote on subsidy removal. Miman leaves over 50 liters of Dangote Petrol. And then new interest rates may worsen bad loans, said Opes. And Kano court drama as judge steps down. Federal government explains minimum wage July 29th back pay. Lagos man jailed 8 years for child molestation, and work begins on federal government's 2025 budget. Now on the top left, Zamfara governor reports defense minister to NSA. CBN Bank sell $9 billion as Naira weakens at 1,670 Naira to a dollar. And APC dismisses poll fraud. Police recovers stolen beavers. Well, these are the stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Now moving over to Tribune newspaper. Still on the CBN inflation, says concerns as CBN raises interest rate to 27.5%. Manufacturers to continue paying high interest rates. Tightening of MPC detrimental to investment and economic growth. NACCIMA expresses concern. Least impacts on businesses, inflation, and over 4 million Nigerians unemployed in 2023. This is right on the front page. And Adeleke reduces workdays for Osun workers, extends palliative payments. Tinubu declines assent, returns bill on new retirement age for NAS workers. Abdul Samad Rabiu donates 2 billion naira to support Maiduguri flood victims. And there we have Dangote advocates total fuel subsidy removal. Tinubu sends Kekere Ekun's name, 21 RMAFC commissioners to Senate for confirmation. A day election, observers should not usurp INEC rules. APC carpet Yaga. We have Justice Nyako withdraws himself from Nnamdi Kanu's trial, and two-fear drought has floored hits Ibadan. Okay. These are the stories we have on the Tribune newspaper. Now, joining us to review the papers today on the daily, joining us to review the papers this morning, we have our reviewer this morning who's going to join us. We have Ben Shemang. He's here for Director of News, Voice of Nigeria, as he joins us to review the front page of the newspaper. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you. Now, let's look at some of the stories on the front page of the newspaper. Kicking off with the one that is trending, against expectations, starting off with Daily Trust, CBN raises interest rate to 27.25%. What's your thoughts on that?
Is it Nigerians are not short of shocks, government? It's another shocker. It is again, it is again skewed to deal with the Nigerians in such a way that transportation is just going to be very, very high. What do I mean? If people begin to borrow at the high rate and they are there, not it's not pro bonus kind of that Nigerians are out for a bad deal. How do you expect companies? How do you expect industrialists? How do you expect interest and investment in Nigeria to break even? You go get money at what rate in terms of loans, and what is the interest rate? If you compare that with some other developed countries, I mean, why is it that the developed countries are always insisting on having low interest rate, but when it comes to Nigeria or developing countries, we just heap it on all the poor people? Because these programs are pro-poor. We expect, if they are really pro-poor, we look at even the currency in Nigeria. Why is it hard for us to have the least of the least, the smallest of the denomination? What is in circulation is the 1,000 naira. Tell me the economy that does that, except in Nigeria, except in Africa. The other time I saw that some people were making fun of Nigeria. Some guys went to Ghana with their naira. When they exchanged it, they needed some sacks to carry the kind of currency Nigeria has. That is looking at the exchange between the CD and the naira. Who is doing this to us? Ourselves. Or what is it? We have very great economists in charge of the economy of this country. But look at what is happening. It's like trying to break the very backbone of the Nigerian economy. I think it is wrong, in my own opinion.
Thank you very much, for painting that picture to us on how this will get to affect businesses both small and large businesses. And I love the fact that you tilted towards, what other economies are doing and what developing economies are doing. It's not just a Nigerian problem at this point in time. It's an African problem. African leaders are towing the same light, and it's something that needs to be looked into. But we also saw a story on Guardian that piqued my attention. Growing jobless. Self-employed Nigerians deem tax potential. Talking about the level of unemployment in Nigeria. What's your thought on that? How dangerous is this for Nigeria at this point in time, that we have people who are either out of jobs, have no jobs, companies folding up due to the inflation rates, and people can't even start businesses because of how expensive things are? What does this have to say about our nation? Tell us your thoughts on that.
And upon all these problems you've listed, you have these spin doctors, those who are within the president, making the president not to see the realities. They say, Mr. President, you are doing well. You are the best that will ever happen to Nigeria. Who the cap fits, you are the one. How can you have this kind of population of unemployed? In other words, if you calculate them, the unemployed people in Nigeria are the populations of many countries in West Africa put together. And I want to tell you that these are people who will go under depression. These are people who will remain as willing tools, recruits, when it comes to insecurity in the country. Is it Boko Haram? Is it Islam? They'll just be ready, the tools that people will use to destabilize. Taurita Labaja, he's already saying that all the service agencies, talking of security agencies, that the personnel surprisingly are under 2 million to serve over 200 million people. It is a serious thing of concern when we are supposed to be seeing that every year you're recruiting 10,000 policemen to take charge of affairs. No wonder. What are we seeing today? You begin to see that soldiers who are supposed to be in barracks, we are not supposed to be seeing them. They are not supposed to be discernible. They are mounting roadblocks. It is abnormal. It's supposed to be the job of the policemen. So why don't you recruit these youths so that they join the police force? If we have a stable polity, all these people are running away. They will come back. In as much as you have no light, you don't have this, you don't have that, and you're busy creating seas of unemployed youth. Every year, how many people come out of polytechnics, from colleges of education, from monotechnics, from universities, from specialized agencies? You look at that. Look at how many NYC people turn out year in, year out. Where are the jobs? You don't find them. And the government is just folding its arms. We are sitting on a gunpowder waiting to explode.
All right, like you said, we're sitting on a ticking time bomb or a gunpowder waiting to explode. Now, on the front page of the Vanguard, something piqued my attention. They said 2 million security personnel can't protect over 200 million Nigerians, says the chief of the defense staff. Now, we see this statement. It's not the first time it's coming out. There was a time we had an infograph one time that spoke about how many police officers we have that are guarding, political elites and celebrities and some certain people. And then a governor came out to talk about, at the risk of stating the wrong figure, spoke about the fact that we don't even have enough police officers in a particular state, talk more of a local government that is struggling with banditry. Now, what's your take on the amount of security personnel we have, and even those that are into doing VVIP affairs? What's your thought on all of this, and the irony behind the fact that it's only during elections we see the mass numbers, but when it comes to fighting banditry and protecting Nigerians, which is what they've sworn to, there is always a gap there?
Yes, you see, when you look at what has happened, the elections in Edo State, it's a pity. May their souls rest in peace. Policemen who went for election duties in Edo State, all the way from Kano, had an accident. Some of them died. Must we reach this level that we see election like national emergencies, when in some developed countries, all you need to do with your own card, just strike a button, you've voted? Why is it hard? Can't we conduct elections in such a way that we don't begin to carry the army, the navy, the air force, state security operation? Everybody, there's an emergency. You look at the number of those who are going to do election servicing or protecting election, they constitute quite a lot of voters. We don't have all of that. And that is why, just like I said earlier, it's supposed to be that every year 10,000 policemen recruits must be recruited. We are not talking of officers that are supposed to come from the police college in Woodil. These are the officer cadre. Now you have today inspectors who are now doing jobs of constables. Inspectors are drivers. Inspectors are the ones mounting gates. Inspectors are the ones doing this or that. You now see even superintendent of policemen. The jobs they are doing are supposed to be what is called jobs for other ranks. Those who hang their ranks on the hand, not on the shoulder. A whole lot of things. And that is why Labaja is also, that's the chief of army staff, Lieutenant General. He said that with the army, you're talking about just a few hundreds, and many of them are just not in active service because they have to be in some institutions. They have to be in the offices to also coordinate some activities. So Nigeria, we are short-staffed when it comes to security. And when people also argue, it's really not about the number. But when you're talking of the equipment, how much does one Super Tucano cost? How much does one armored carrier cost? How much does a missile cost? Look at the bullets themselves. How many are we making? But good thing, if you go to Kaduna now, around the Gachukun, in conjunction with the Defense Industry Corporation, DIC, they've started making MRAPs, mine-resistant personnel carriers, and it is named after a general who actually created some of these things, Major General Victor Mzogu. He's retired now, and these are people that you still have to use, create some of this equipment, export them to some countries because they've been commissioned, inducted. They are the ones being used today mostly to fight this war. Can we create, manufacture many of them? Look at bullets. If you must have one bullet, any single one fired, we're talking of dollars gone. How much is the exchange rate today? Inflation has rubbished the entire money meant for a security agency, rubbish that of education, rubbish that of health, rubbish everything in Nigeria. What do we do? Yet you see the lawmakers very flamboyantly dressed, and anytime you just say, "Oh, we are," just as we are talking, they just resume from their holidays, well-deserved holidays, with their SUVs and all that stuff. Nigerians are languishing in poverty. We are still talking about petrol pricing. No, let's remove a subsidy. It shouldn't be removed and all that stuff. Nigerians are just very, very patient. But the day, one day, they will say no, it becomes a problem.
I love how you brought that in because it's in line with the next question I want to ask. On the bottom of the Daily Trust newspaper, we have Nigerians grappling with hardship, says Akpabio. What do you make of this? I mean, we already know that. You know that. You're stating it to us again. I mean, what is the solution? Why aren't you giving us a solution but complaining when you're in power to make the laws? So what's your thought on that statement that he said? I mean, we already know Nigerians are grappling with hardship, but why the statement at this point in time?
Well, I don't know why some people should just be talking of the obvious. That is, a Senate president will tell us that Nigerians are grappling and living in poverty. You are simply telling us that they use legs to play football. They use hands to play handball. Why are you stating the obvious? I mean, if you know all of this, what is it that you've done that people will be out of poverty? When we had a former president, Buhari, telling ministers, said, I am going to judge you going by how many people, how many Nigerians you remove from poverty line. I don't know what he did thereafter. Nothing has changed. And here we are, Senate President Akpabio saying Nigerians are, I mean, you don't need to tell the Nigerian that he's poor. You already know it. So what are you doing to alleviate that? When you're talking of interest rates going so high, again, that is poverty. People are going down. The proletariat, lumpen proletariat, the masses are suffering. They are just going down the train, and these people are just moving with protection here and there. Their houses, just name it, anything that has to do with prestige. They are up there. Everybody is down there, and all you do is you have a sea of beggars here and there, and even go to try to see many of them. You can't even see them. It's not the best of times for Nigerians. If they are coming together to salvage a bad situation, there's no time left. This is the time. They should hit the ground running. Nigerians have been waiting for too long. Time has come for it to be done.
Yes, time has come for the change indeed we're looking for in Nigeria. Now, finally, let's look at the story that's boldly on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. Army discharges female soldier who accused officer of sexual advances. They cited mental challenge for her, and they exonerated the colonel of the allegation. And more importantly, which is another angle we've seen, Women Affairs Ministry stays silent on the matter. What does this have to say about, we also saw a story a while ago about an Air Force official being incarcerated for over 6 years, and the wife had to come out and cry for him to be released. What's your take on the intricacies, the things that are happening in the army, especially towards the mental health of, people who are meant to protect Nigeria? This is her coming out to cry on something, and they're saying it's a mental health challenge. I mean, what do you think could have been done differently on all of it? Do you smell a rat in this?
Well, I will not be quick at smelling any rat in that. But for the Ministry of Women Affairs that appears to go docile, or they are asleep when everybody is awake over the matter, well, they also have to just look at it psychologically. What do you do or a situation of this nature? We should not kind of begin to impugn, to the best of my knowledge, impugn some bad motives on the side of our security. The case of Private Ruth Ogunleye, she virtually accused from generals to down everybody. At the point, even before now, they had placed her on look, she ought to have even gone. They said, no, just return her. Let's see how far, if things would improve. Rather than improving, she would go to social media, and out of social media, she was a kind of running down institutions that brought her up, that she signed to also serve. And now, I mean, a panel had to be set up. They invited the military police. Look at this matter. And in the end, even when they realized she has some psychological issues, they felt, okay, we're going to retire this lady, and even giving her what they call full benefits, But I think that Nigerians should not over dramatize issues of this nature. Just like the case of the naval personnel you're talking about, I think it was a case of naval personnel, not Air Force. It was a joint operation. People were saying, how can you do a cross-service discipline? Somebody who just did a small mistake, and the punishment became so harsh, incarcerating him for 5 or 6 years, and nobody is talking. A body was set up to investigate that. I think they were supposed to go for an operation, and the man kind of tried to go above even his commander. There's no commander that will take that. And the moment you see in military tradition, when you fire in the air, when the commander is talking, in other words, you are telling that commander he is not fit to command you under a military setup like this that is so formal. This is not a ragtag army, a kind of. And that was why when the lady went in there and expressed her own emotions there, people needed to be very, very careful to know what has happened. It was a case of somebody not agreeing with his commander. And in military circle, it's a very serious matter. And that was why he was court-martialed. A body tried this man and naval rating, so to speak. And you're doing that to your commander. It's not the best. But again, if there are issues that needed to also be looked at, of course, like the army said, they're bringing out a report. There's an investigation going on, so to unravel many of those things. But I think that civilians too should not be too quick to judge some of these things. After all, in the civil cases, you also ministries, you also have some people who, because how do I frame up this man? How do I say bad things about this guy? And like the case of Ogunloye, how do you accuse virtually everybody being against you? It's always not the best. Sometimes we have to look at our own moral standing, we look at our own psychological form, and so that we will follow the laws as laid down.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Ben Shemang, for joining us on the newspaper review this morning. It's been a very, very detailed and insightful, chat with you this morning. Thank you for always making yourself available, to Trust TV's Daybreak. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thanks as always.
All right, that was Ben Shima, the former news director, there speaking with us in our newspaper review segment. Well, unfortunately, we've come to the end of Daybreak this morning. It's indeed been a very, very interesting show where we got to hear your opinions on the happenings and the state of the nation, and we also had our newspaper review. Well, thank you so much for giving us access to your living room. Thank you so much for calling in and dropping your messages. For those who couldn't reach out to us, we apologize. Probably we'll be here again tomorrow, and you keep trying, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on our conversation, today. Well, my name is Lilian Ogazi. We've come to the end of Daybreak this morning. At the top of the hour, we're going to be having sport news. We'll also have business and news through the day. So stick around because we have a lot, packed for you through the course of the day. Do not forget to be a good Nigerian and do the right thing. God bless Nigeria and have a great day ahead.